of 85 and Friends.
Yeah, baby. Welcome back to the Hen Hood Class of 85 and Friends. I'm your co-host, Dave Sanmarco, along with the host of this joint, Diane Money Malice Fantone.
Hey guys, happy Sunday. Welcome.
This next gentleman here was number 10 on the Hen Hud soccer team, and apparently he was on the wish list of many of our classmates, both in 85 and years junior to that, Mr. Stuart Muir.
Dave, you're too kind. Too kind as always. Welcome, everybody.
And by the way, KQ, it was so awesome to watch Stu trash talk his son about soccer over at the Paradise. That was the best. Tyler, shout out to my boy Tyler. Our regular co-host is the lovely and talented Miss Karen Quinn Kloss. How are you, ma'am? We can't hear her. We see her.
Oh my God.
We can't hear her.
There we go. That was the mute button.
Oh,
Hi, love. How are
Sorry
you?
about that. Hi. How is everybody?
I think she does this just to bring attention to herself, honestly. She really does.
I'm such an attention whore. Okay.
Such language. We've got Dan Markham on. Don't say that kind of word, okay?
And the former Hen Hood basketball player, basketball coach, and educator.
Use that term loosely.
No. What was your number, please?
14 my senior year, 44 up to that point.
Number 14, coach, player, Hen Hud's own, Tom Bell. How are you, my friend?
Doing great, living the dream.
You are.
Steve Bell, did you
really-
forget the sunscreen today or something?
I'm outside all the time.
No, he looks great.
Yeah.
I think he looks amazing.
It's
Yes.
been a great retirement so far.
That's it. You got it showing.
It looks
Yeah.
like we're in a 60-minute interview because we could barely see his face. So I don't know if he's
I'm
asked
a-
us to
it's
shout
usually,
out.
but
Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine. So anyway, guys, it's great that we're gathering here. Hello to in Hen Hud world. It's great to have you guys here, and obviously we've tried to bring the stories of folks that graduated with us or are from our hometown, and one of the people that we had our eye on from the very beginning of the idea when Diane pitched this, because this is basically her idea, was Dan Markham. So he was a class of 85er. He became a writer, and he went and did a nationwide, and I guess probably beyond the borders of the great 48, Alaska and Hawaii, to create this book called 52 Masses, which is up for publishing as we speak. So without further ado, let us bring on our classmate and the author himself, Mr. Dan Markham. Put those hands together for Dan Markham.
thanks, everyone.
Welcome, Dan.
Well, thank you, David. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
It's an honor to have you. I know my boss, who graduated from Mahopac High School and is a devout Catholic, was very excited about this episode.
Oh, good.
Remember the guy I told you about that wrote that book? He's coming on the show. So I'll send him the link for this tomorrow. But anyway, welcome to Making Waves. As you can see, that the class of 85, 37 years later, we're still making waves. We're still drinking, and we're still wilding out. By the way, KQ put in our private chat, so anybody who wants to put something on a chat that all of us that are on the show can read, it's to the right. And KQ said, "Is that your foot on the screen, Stu? What the hell?"
Where?
It's like
it's my
well,
hand.
there.
Sorry.
All right, it's your hand.
Sorry.
And Diane, I think Stu laying in bed is a little bit of signaling going on here to other. But anyway, so let's.
We
get
are
back
going
Dan
back to
Markham.
85.
Oh my goodness.
All right, I'm going to take the first shot at
my
this,
goodness.
Dan. Just because you and I haven't spoken other than the other day
Yeah.
with the tale of woe about the unfortunate teacher who didn't like you, we disagreed with him. But Could you please tell us about your journey after leaving Hen Hud and where it went and how you got to this place, please?
Sure. So I went to school out in the Midwest in Indiana, and basically stayed here upon graduation. Met my wife when she was a freshman. I was a senior in college. We got married right after she graduated. Stayed. We were in one place in Indiana for about a dozen years, and she was working as a school teacher. And then she got a principal's license and started working in the Catholic schools. So she's a Catholic school principal. And I started working at that time. I'd always been writing. That's all I've done. Worked for newspapers for about a dozen years, a couple of different ones in Indiana. And then I started working for a trade magazine. So I write about steel and aluminum, essentially for the people who are in the industry. It's not something you would find on a newsstand or anything. It's a trade book. And I've been doing that for 17 years now. I'm the editor-in-chief for our publication. And but because my wife was, the school principal, my kids all went to her school. Our life largely revolved around the parish that we belong to, consequently, I got more involved in the parish. I was a Eucharistic minister, joined St. Vincent de Paul, where I kind of help. We collect money to help people who need help with rent or utilities or something like that. We go out and we were able to provide money to people who need help. So I just got more and more involved in our parish life, and that just basically led to this. And then it started. The idea came to me. I like to say it came to me. Not that I had it. Back in 2016, I was driving I dropped my youngest son off at soccer practice, Stu.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Stu's your son.
Yeah, my big soccer family we are. So I dropped him off, and I was reminded of this parish that my oldest son and I had attended a couple different times. Now, my oldest son, and Diane knows a little bit about it. He went to Johns Hopkins, and he knows more about geography than anyone knows about anything I've ever met.
I love that.
Two-time state champion in the geography bee. He speaks now he's semi-fluent in 15 languages.
Wow.
He's just ridiculously dedicated, just committed to to the world. He's taking a job now as a refugee resettlement officer. So he's going to work with refugees. He's probably going to go to Ukraine sometime in February, or out in Poland. So anyway, we had gone to this parish that offered Mass in Lithuanian, and I was just reminded of it. And then the idea came to me to travel the country, go to first it was like all 50 states, and the District of Columbia, in Puerto Rico it's 52. I could do it in a year, and I could just write something about everywhere where I went. And by the time I got home I had the whole idea for the book within my head. So I targeted 2021 to do it because that would be when my youngest was out of high school, and I wouldn't miss his baseball games and soccer games. And so I just kind of worked forward from there. And I started reaching out to parishes in 2018, 19 to try to figure out where I was going to go. Just sent out letters, sent out emails. Basically, every night I spent for like 6 months just sending out emails to like all the parishes in the country, an email address, and said, "This is what I'm doing. If you have something at your parish you think would make a good addition to the book, let me know." And so I would get responses, and then I from there I try to just get a good mix of types of stories that I would write. So it could be about a ministry, it could be about an effort of evangelization, it could be just an individual story, history, and just try to tell a very broad picture. I wanted to go to churches that were large, small, rural, urban. I went to a couple on Native American reservations. And so I wanted to get a good mix of types of stories and types of parishes, and that's just and it worked out really well. I mean, it worked out far better than I ever dreamed of.
We gonna get into it, Dan. We got some specific. We're gonna dig into
right.
some of these parishes, but
Yeah.
first, let me hand it over to the host of this joint, Diane D. Money Malice Fantoni.
Ooh, that's what he always says. Yes, yes. Well, hey, Dan, it is so good to see you. And sometimes Dave cuts me off because I always kind of relish back in time. But I do want to say, like, Dan and I grew up. We went to CCD together. You know, Dan and his family, his mom and dad, wonderful, wonderful people. You know, I remember playing football at your house in your backyard with Jimmy Bolello and Kevin Keon and Chris Deloge. And, you know, we have a lot of history going back there. And I know, I want to say, because I know your parents are so dear to you, and, you know, and I know that, you know, they're not here, but they would be so proud of this mission that you've accomplished, because they were wonderful community people. And yeah, so, and the success of you and your children, I mean, I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So it's so great to have you on here. And like Dave said, I was like, you know, we got to get Danny on here, because I was reading about you, and I think I connected with you because you were in the area a few minutes, but it never worked out.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see you. And, you know, I don't go to church as much as I probably should, but I have my faith. But I will say, whenever I travel, I do find it really neat to go into churches, see a service, regardless of the religion. So, you know, I did a little travel in Europe and everything. So I really admire, because that's a big commitment. And one thing I wanted to point out after reading, you know, your excerpt that I thought was really neat was that, you know, I think there was a day or two where you went to a couple services in the same day.
Yeah.
And you were like saying it was the same reading, but it was like you got two different perspectives of the way that the priest actually did the reading. And I thought that was really neat. You know, it's like, and I think that was really eye-opening for you from what you told.
Yeah, very much so. That was the very first weekend I did it. I was out. I started in New Hampshire, and then I went to Connecticut. Basically, my daughter wanted to go out to visit her college roommate, and I was like, "All right, I'll start a week early." And so I went out there, and it was very, you know, all three. I went to one service in New Hampshire, and then two at the parish in Connecticut, in Newtown, and all three were talking about, you know, the gospel reading, and all three of them had very, very different perspectives. And it was, you know, it was neat because I had never experienced that before, because, you know, you know, if you go to one, you go to one night, you go to one, and being able to go to three, and they were all, you know, they all had a very different take on the reading, but they all had a very valid take. And so it was really, that was really neat, a neat experience, you know, the first of many, to get that perspective, that you realize that, you know, there's not this, you know, monolithic thought that exists in the church, you know, or in any church, but one that, you know, that is open, you know, to different perspectives. And so that was a really neat way to kick things off.
Yeah, I'm sure. Was there anything that stood out of all the services that you went to, the masses, like something really super funny, or, you know, just different that you scratched your head a little bit about? Is there anything that comes to mind when I ask that question?
I'll give you one funny one and one really meaningful one. So I was in Puerto Rico for, and it was the 500th anniversary of the cathedral there, which it's the second oldest in the Western Hemisphere.
Wow.
And so I was getting a tour of the cathedral from the young man who is the curator for the art, and for the whole Archdiocese of San Juan. He's in charge of it. So so he was giving me this tour, and so I kind of got to go back, you know, behind where the average tour goer goes. And so they have this spiral staircase, this 500-year-old spiral staircase. So I started, you know, I walked up a little bit and took some photos for the blog, and then started walking down, and I missed the last step, and I went sprawling into the little well that was, you know, at the bottom, and I mean, I landed and I knew immediately my ankle was wrecked.
Yikes.
And then it blew up, like this. I'm just, really embarrassed. And so the guy's like, just stay there. Don't move. Finally, like I get up and I brush off like 500 years and 30 pounds of dust off of my pants. And the young man who, English is his second language, decides to narrate my fall the way I should write about it in the book. Like, I'm in the oldest spiral staircase in the United States. I decided to dive down. And I was like, thank you. I needed that right now. I desperately needed to laugh at myself after that because it was highly embarrassing. That wasn't any fun to try to walk back to my car in Old San Juan and couldn't find it, but that was very much needed. So, and then the thing that was probably the most meaningful that happened was in North Dakota, I went to St. Gianna's Maternity Home. So it's a home for young women who, typically come from, rough situations. They get pregnant, they want to have a child, but they're in, they're couch hopping. They're just, they may be in abusive home situations. So they come to this home and they can stay there through childbirth and up to 2 years afterwards. And the idea is that hopefully that, after 2 years, a lot of the bad habits that they've had, the bad nutrition, the just, other things that kind of, were just the way they kind of lived, are no longer, that they're ready to, kind of go out and be more productive and understand the ways to be moms. And so I went there and I spent the whole weekend there. And the woman who runs the home, she said anybody who wanted to speak to me was welcome to go off in this little parlor. We would talk. So the very first person I spoke to was this young lady named, she went by Kate. That was just the name she gave me. And she's 17 and she has a 2-year-old child. So she was pregnant at 14, just her, and she's telling me very matter of factly, just how rough, it was growing up. I mean, she had no role models. She had nothing, neglect was just the way, the only thing she knew. And so she was telling me all this and I, and I was, really surprised at how open and honest she was about everything. So we're about 20 minutes in and then the door bursts open and there's this young girl that is, she was adopted by the woman who runs the home. Her mother had been there and then she just kind of walked away. So this young girl has lived her whole life around the home. They live behind it, but she's this is her life. So as you can imagine, she's a 4-year-old girl. She kind of has the run of place, right? She's in charge of everything. So she comes rushing in and she's looking for this young woman's son, JJ. And she said, where's JJ? She's, I don't know. He's probably with the house mothers. I'm busy. Well, I want to play with him. Well, no, you're going to have to go find him yourself. So she kind of shoos her out. So I figured, well, this is a natural point to break. This is, she shared, quite a bit with me and, we can stop now. So she's like, no, we have to keep talking, which is not a reaction I get very often when I'm interviewing people, that we're going to keep talking. So she closes the door and she proceeds to spend the next 20 minutes asking me questions. How do you stay married? How do you trust your spouse? How do you keep from getting bored? All of these questions that she has about home life that she just has no model for. And all the people at the home, as great as they are, they're all single. So she doesn't deal with, people who are married and have children and, have full family lives. So she just kind of saw this opportunity and she was not going to pass it up. This is what she wants out of life. She just doesn't know how to get there. So it was such a neat experience because at no point when I was, planning where I was going to go and all this, did I think that I'd be in a position to help someone. I figured I would just be writing just as I normally do. I would tell their stories, but I never really thought I would be uniquely qualified in this person's life to provide some hope or, guidance in some way. And so when that happened, it was and that was fairly early in the trip, but it really kind of said, no matter what else happens from here on out, this was worth it. Just having the opportunity to be there for this, this young lady who, desperately wants out of life what, I've been fortunate to have, and she was going to take advantage of the opportunity to, to find out how. So that was probably the most meaningful experience on the trip.
That's amazing.
When you encounter somebody who's sort of like unaware of life outside of this small paradigm that they live in, and it's like, wow, that's really cool that you.
She didn't have a mentor or anybody that could really.
And all the people at the home are, there's house mothers who are, just out of college. There's the woman who runs the home and she's single, and then there's a father and brother. They have a friary. And obviously they're never getting married. So all of the people she encounters are single. So, I mean, as good as they are at providing, a lot of guidance to her, that's the one area where, they don't have the the expertise, I guess. Not that I necessarily have expertise, but at least, I'm in, that's the one, I've been married for 30 years and it's gone pretty well. So,
what's interesting is when you hear about people from North Korea, they're completely unaware in many cases of what's going on in the world outside.
Yeah.
Those that are imprisoned in North Korea, and I think even just a portion of the citizenry, because they don't have access to the internet, they don't have some of these things. And that's sort of like somebody that you encounter, which is unique.
Yeah.
Let us pass it to Stu Muir. Then after Stu, we're going to read the inscription that Dan wrote in Maria's book, but not before.
Can I come in front of Stu for a second?
Oh my God!
I know. I'm so sorry. I have a follow-up to this. So,
ladies first.
Of course.
Dan.
Yeah.
So, have you maintained any kind of contact with this young girl, or even?
Oh no. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that they would even want that.
Yeah, that's
it's very, because it's, in fact, the fact that they even let me in is somewhat rare, because they don't want people coming in and out. If they could get more volunteers, but it's like, unless you're going to be here every week, we don't want you. These people need, very structured, lives that you can't be coming in and out of. So I'm not even sure they would have wanted me. I was just fortunate that they let me, spend the weekend there, because it's not something that they do all that frequently.
Okay, that's so sad. You're like bringing us down like Dave and his dead cat story.
He's like my son. Give me back my son. No, I'm definitely not trying to bring. I just had to let you guys know it was a significant event in my life yesterday. But it's not really like a son. I'm not blessed with children, but Juicia was amazing, and like I said, he's really. I just have to realize that his spirit is here, and I will eventually see him again. So, with that, can we get to number 10?
Are you sure, Karen? Is it okay?
I don't know. How come? You know what? Diane played all kinds of sports. I played soccer. Why didn't you ask me why didn't you ask what our numbers are?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Can we please? Let's get some numbers here.
No,
Diane,
we're not telling now.
Too little, too late. Go ahead, Stu. The floor's all yours.
I love her.
Thank you. Dan, again, great.
I have just been put in my place. Thank you, KQ.
That's what we're here for.
All right, Dan, I just want to say it's great to see you again. One thing about this show that Dave and Diane and Dave put together is that we've been reunited with many of our old classmates, and I haven't seen Dan in such a long time. I just want to say how great it is to see you, and it's such a great thing for you to be on the show, man. I really appreciate you coming on.
Well,
you have to make it to the reunion next time.
I know.
You got to come in town.
Yeah.
So a couple of questions.
So do you, Mr. Bell.
Oh! Yes, call him out, baby. I'm sorry.
The last two were a blast. I didn't go to the 10th, but the last two were fantastic.
Yeah,
She means our reunions, our get-togethers, because the
Well,
other
no, I mean them both. I mean them both.
okay, well that's 3 years from now, so
Yeah,
we got some time.
Our 30th, we were at Fulham's, and the air conditioning wasn't working, and it was like 95 degrees.
Yes.
Horrible.
Oh my God. Yes.
I was fighting Joe DePietro for a spot under the air conditioner.
Oh my good Lord.
I can't wait till that.
All right, go ahead, Stu. Sorry, we're just totally overdoing you there.
Banter is great. So I just had a couple of questions about the journey that you went on, Dan. So when you travel, was it simply by car? Did you have some sort of RV? How did you get around for this? And I'm assuming you did it for a year straight. And my other question, kind of that's kind of residual about that, is how did you get any assistance financially about this, or did you just take care of this yourself?
Primarily myself. I got a little bit of help along the way from some of the places I visited, but mostly it was me. Now I was able to combine it with some work travel in a lot of local places. Most of the longer trips, except for Hawaii and Alaska, which I did back to back. I flew to Alaska, then to Hawaii, and then home. So at least I saved the one long flight. But most, like when I went to Florida, I combined that with some work, Arizona, the Pacific Northwest. So some of the longer ones I was able to do work, but it was primarily by car, except for obviously the obvious ones: Puerto Rico, Alaska, Hawaii, and then I flew to Florida also because it was just a one-off. It was not. It took about 14 months, and it wasn't straight. So what I would do is I would travel during the first 2 weeks of the month. I would do long trips during the first 2 weeks of the month because I was still doing my regular job. And so it was better to be closer to home for the last 2 weeks for the magazine that I edit, to be to have not be on the road as much the last 2 weeks. So, and I would do, where I could, I would go, to a vigil mass on a Saturday night, and then Sunday mass the following day, if it was nearby. So I did that in, North Carolina, South Carolina. I did it over the course of, just a weekend, so I tried to, because I was hoping from the beginning, I was hoping to find like a sponsor for it, or sponsors who were, who would wanted to be a part of it, but I didn't have any luck, so then it was going to be primarily on me. So then I was trying to, cut the cost wherever I could, but it was primarily by car. And it was remarkable is that I could drive, I drove from Billings, Montana to my house in a day. It was like 19 hours, and it didn't bother me. I mean, for whatever reason on the trip, I could just drive really long distances, and it didn't really affect me. So
are you sponsored by Red Bull, Dan? Because you should have stopped at 8 hours. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Red Bull on the side of his Cadillac Sedan DeVille. There it is right there. There's Dan's website, https://52 masses. Come get some about this book. It's up for publishing right now. And I'll tell you what, Dan, let's do Maria's Let It Shine Online real quick. And then we will come with, so there we go. Let It Shine Online. This is Maria's charity that she and Casey Morabito have gathered love and give it away. Let's see. Pantry numbers are creeping towards 100 families a week that they're giving away food to. They recently had 14 girls come in and work there. They were Hendrick Hudson, they were Lakeland, they were Panis, Peekskill, and some even from across the river that came and put in a significant amount of work in some sort of a work study with her charity. They have the pantry. They take in prom dresses like from young ladies, and then they give those prom dresses away to, let's say, young kids who need them and can't afford them. So Maria's doing a lot of great work. She also hosts this retreat, and I need to get the details of her retreat It's non-denominational, but it's held at Catholic facilities. And from what she explained, it's really just a lot of healing going on from I assume they're all ladies that are going to it that are in need. But Maria is doing amazing work. I mean, that's what I have to say. So Let It Shine online. Let me see if I have that link here.
Hey, Dave.
Quick. Yes, sir.
Send me anything you've got on that, please.
I will. I will do just that. There it is, letitshineonline.com. That is Maria's website for you to donate. We did have a classmate that donated a very significant amount of money to Maria's charity. She doesn't want to be embarrassed, so I won't say it again as I did before, but it doesn't surprise me coming from our class. I'll put it to you that way. Now, with that, what we got to do is put this beautiful writing from our guest, Dan, and what he inscribed in Maria's yearbook. So here we go. Let me see if I can make this large. Does somebody want to try to read this? Dan, can
I'll
you
read it. I can probably
Please
read
do,
it.
sir.
All right, Maria or Miss President, what a year we've had. Singing at the soccer games, cocktails before the Beacon football game, champagne out of our trophy, Carvel out of creative. Carvel, I think it's just Carvel.
Carvel out of creative writing.
Yes, I was in that class.
Here's one last poem to remember, as a remembrance. There once was a girl named Morabito. In CW, right next to me, was her Cedo. Oh, God. She may drink a lot, and she sometimes gets hot, but she was real neat. Oh, that Morabito. Oh, my gosh. Mitch.
Yeah! Dan Markham.
Poetry was not really my thing.
I love it, man.
Obviously.
That is...
Wow.
That is beautiful, man.
Wow.
That could be the forward to your book.
I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that.
Oh my
All right.
goodness.
His next
that
book
was-
is
that
going to be
was-
52 yearbook signings.
Yeah, we're what I hope to do is for our group chat, Dan.
Thank you.
I don't think we've added you to that yet, but I'm going to send you the link for that tonight. If I haven't, I think I have already. I think I've sent it to you on DM, right? On Facebook. But if not, you'll get it again. And we have like 40 some odd people on there. But in any case, I want people to take snapshots of yearbook inscriptions and please post them on our WhatsApp chat. So
If you can find mine, please feel free to forward it to me. I haven't seen in 20 years.
Same here. I would do anything to have my yearbook back, but a lot of people still have them. And one person that has his yearbook, who's going to take a look at it for us, is Coach Tom Bell, a dear friend of Dan, and also 2-on-2 partner who spanked Bruce and I at the courts at Pine Lake and said, "You two, Bruce, Dave, you guys are not basketball players. We about to show you that you're not basketball players," and they did. So thank you guys. It's still hurts.
As with Tom, describing us as head varsity basketball players is a very loose.
Very loose term.
No, I do not accept that. I reject that. Please continue,
Well, we
Tom.
tried, but it didn't work.
I knew
reject
at a
that.
very early age, Dan, coaching was my calling. Mitch, I was telling Dave yesterday, one of my favorite memories from high school was 11:30 Mass every Sunday at St. Christopher's. Me, you, Kevin Keon, Charles Durr, we either stood in the back or we sat in the back, most of the time making fun of people, but anyway.
Chuck, the Durrs were season ticket holders.
Yes.
Yes, but they always had the same spot.
Yeah, so we'd go every Sunday, and once we were liberated and had our own cars, we would just meet there and stuff. But
we
we were there every Sunday, man. And looking back on it, it was just an amazing time, amazing memory, and a lot of fun. And like I told Dave afterwards, we'd go get lunch or we'd go hang out or play basketball or whatever. Yeah. So my first question is, were there any thoughts of returning to St. Christopher's for that 11:30 Mass?
That's not even in English anymore.
That's what I was going to say next.
Really? Yeah. Well, it's combined with St. Pat's now, right? It's the single parish with, they share a priest, I believe, with St. Pat's. Not really. I mean, if it had happened, that would have been neat. But I was already planning to. I finished the book at the parish that I belonged to when the project started, not when I actually took off on the trip. So that was always the idea. It was always going to end back at my home parish, and I was just going to reflect on the experiences I had, along the way. So I didn't, none of the other places that I had belonged to through the years really were kind of, on my radar in that sense. I mean, it wasn't like I would have excluded it,
Right.
but it wasn't one of like, oh, I got to go there. So I ended up going to Buffalo, which I'd never been to before. Although I tried to meet Stu there when we were seniors in college, but we didn't hook up.
I cannot remember. That's so funny.
I know. I'm sure you couldn't.
Hey, Dan, my insistence is that you go to a mass with Tom, Scoop, and Chuck Durr. You guys need to do some sort of a reunion mass back at home.
We'll do it down here in the beach.
Yeah, all right.
You know what?
No, Tom, you got to come back home. Sorry. You're going to have to come back. Sorry.
That was my
I'm telling
mass
you though,
too.
I was
don't
at that
remember.
11:30 mass
Yeah, me too.
That was it. Standing
was-
in the back.
Stand in the back.
Definitely.
Yeah, in the back. I used to. I was kind of the pinch hitter usher.
Yes.
Sonny Schiavi would if they didn't have the fourth, he would always hand off the collection basket to me to handle it.
Dan handled the collection basket, man. I wasn't up to that. But
I love it.
Dan, my next question is, just as a youth growing up, I mean, that, I don't think we went to church because we had to go to church at that point. I mean, at least in my family.
Didn't. Yeah.
Like just speak to like your upbringing, the importance of the church, as a young child, and then as you got into high school and then college, even and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, my father's parents were daily mass goers. I mean, they were, they went every day. And so, so he was raised, and he went to Stepanak for a year. So he was raised in a really devout family. My mother's was less so, but she, of her brothers and sisters, was probably the most devout. And so it was I remember my mom telling me when I was growing up, she's like, I don't care, you don't have to marry a Catholic girl, but I do want you to raise your kids Catholic. So that was. That was impressed on me fairly young. So it was important, but and then you get to college and you slip a little, but I end up marrying a Catholic girl, so it was.
You're kidding.
It was very comfortable.
We thought you were going to marry a Jewish girl from Queens.
Yeah.
This is shocking.
I didn't. I moved to Indiana, so my choices were a Catholic girl or a Baptist girl.
Got it. Jews
So,
are New York.
so it was, and we, even when she was a public school teacher, we started our kids in Catholic school, growing up. So it was always a big, a part of my life. I would say even when I was in college and I was, not as regular as I should have been, I would still say it was a pretty important part of my life, even without it. So, and then once we had kids, it became just regular for us again. So, and it's just grown over the years. I'm not exactly sure why. It just I just found myself more and more engaged at Mass than as time we're on, and so I really enjoy it, enjoy going, and this was particularly neat because I get to meet like the people that were most excited about being there. Those are the priest would typically introduce me, during the course of the Mass at some point. Sometimes I would speak. And talk a little bit about the book, and but so then I would I'd stay after Mass, and anybody who wanted to share stories with me would come up. But the night the people who are leaving there after communion are not.
Stand by one, Dan. Whoever's fidgeting, we can hear that in the microphone. So go to mute, please. Oh, is your dog humping your phone, whomever that was. I love it. I don't know if that's Stuart. All right.
My dog's not humping my phone. What's wrong with you?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, so I ended up just, I'd really get to talk to people who are really excited about, their parish or this, ministry they're involved in, or the church festival. I mean, it could be anything that, that really, had them engaged. But I ended up, having these really great conversations with people, who were excited, about the faith as I was. So, it was really, a lot of the work I did for the book, I did by phone because it was going to be easier for the people I was writing about. I mean, I couldn't, it wouldn't be, hey, you need to stick around after Mass so I can talk to you. That's not very, it's not the way to do it. So I did a lot of the work by phone, a lot of interviews, just as I would do my normal job. But without having gone, on the road and meeting people and seeing them and talking to them in person, it would not have been the same. I mean, the experience, I needed to be out there meeting people, talking to them. There was a really neat experience I had, and this illustrates of that. I was in Pennsylvania, and I was in Bethlehem, and before the 10:30 Mass, the baseball team walks in from the high school, Bethlehem Catholic High School.
Wait, isn't that where Jesus was born?
Yes, yeah, Bethlehem,
Okay.
East Bethlehem. So this is
Okay.
or West Bethlehem. So, so the baseball team all floods in, and they're all wearing their pullovers. That they team pullovers. And so the usher that I was talking to explained that they had a game that night against Allentown Catholic, their big rival. And so whenever they had something on a Sunday, they had to go to Mass together as a team, and they all had to sit together. So I was that night. I was actually sticking around an extra day because I was going to this. They have a drug and alcohol recovery high school in Bethlehem. It's the only faith-based recovery high school for kids who are involved in drugs and alcohol, and it's in Bethlehem. It's the only faith-based one in the country. So that was what I was writing about. So I was sticking around an extra day to go to the school. And so I called my wife that night, and I was telling her about this, this baseball team. And she said, "That's what you need to be writing about. That's, she's a Catholic school principal. She's like, that's a coach who knows what he's supposed to be doing. He knows, what's important." And, she was just so animated about it. And, so I get that a lot, like, oh, you need to go here. You need to write about this. But, when it's your wife doing it, then you have to figure out a way to make that work. So I called the baseball coach to ask him about it. He was really excited to hear from him. You could see the priest had introduced me, and he said he turned to the principal and was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That is great." So, so I had a nice conversation with him, and I figured out a way to work that little anecdote into the book, because, my wife made me. So, but that's the kind of thing that I never would have experienced. I never would have seen had I not been on the road, talking to people and going to Mass. Was those little things that happened along the way, just like the girl in North Dakota. I mean, those kind of things, just wouldn't have been possible.
Hey, Dan, we've got about 15 minutes left, so let's try to make these quick hitters in case there's a... Stuart, stop fidgeting. We're going to mute you again.
I don't understand what noise. I'm completely still and doing nothing.
You're obviously not, because the screen is moving and we're hearing it. And KQ already called you out. So
I don't know what to say.
KQ, put him in timeout. Anyway, Dan, so I have a question about Rome that I'm going to get to hopefully during this quick hitter, because like I said, we only got about 15 minutes left. But before I do that, I want to ask you about the people that you're interfacing with as a Catholic. And by the way, I am going to hook you up or send you on Amazon Diana Pasulka, Catholic professor's book about UFOs called American Cosmic.
Okay.
She's has a doctorate in religion at like UNC Charlotte, and she's she's not only a practicing Catholic and a professor in Catholicism, but her UFO studies are pretty amazing.
Cool.
Anyway, when you enter one of these parishes for the first time and you meet up with the individual who is going to basically be your caretaker or your guide through that facility, that parish, and the service. Do you feel an immediate kinship with that person as a Catholic, as somebody who shares deep faith? Do you look at that person and feel a connection, or is it not really there until you?
Usually, yeah. I mean, I would say that's typically the case. Now, I mean, how it happens when I get there varies. It varied wildly from one parish to another. I mean, some, are really like, oh, we're so glad you're here, and roll out the red carpet kind of thing, which really wasn't necessary. I tell you don't have to do anything. I'm just going to mass. You don't have to do, you don't have to, do anything at all. But and other times it was very low key, and sometimes, like, there were a few times that they didn't necessarily know I was coming because of, last minute changes to my schedule that happened in Mississippi. So it really varied. But yes, the people that I tended to meet, I did, really quickly develop, really warm feelings of kinship with, just because there are people who were, typically excited about what I was doing. And I think that, that was one of the things that was really neat. It was, there were a lot of people that I'd met along the way, that were really, that really understood what I was trying to accomplish and wanted me to be successful. And, and so they went out of their way to, to help me, spread the word of what I was doing and put me in touch with people. And so I knew the whole, before I went, I knew it was going to be like, an experience of a lifetime. And it still vastly exceeded my expectations. Just, the people that I met were just the warmest, most humble servants, just people who, were, it may be, were using their gifts in one way or another, to serve, to serve God. And, I don't think necessarily you have to be a Catholic to appreciate a lot of these stories, right. or even Christian or even religious. I mean, there's just, some of the, the people, the women in Bakersfield, California. I mean, they, I was writing about their, their kind of their commitment to the unborn, primarily those women who've lost children to miscarriage. And these women were just extraordinary, humble servants. I mean, the work that they do, the selflessness, was just so inspiring. I came home and I was telling my neighbor who had been in seminary, and he said, "Wow, they sound like saints." And I said, that was the feeling I had, was that was as close as I was going to get to meeting a saint on earth, was these women from Bakersfield, California, all, first, second, third generation Mexican immigrants, just really hardworking women who were just really devout, and, and they were just doing what they could to serve. And, that's what I met so consistently along the way. And one of the things that was neat was just going someplace where I had no expectations, and then meeting the most wonderful people, like I did in Idaho or in West Virginia. I didn't go in with any, oh, this is going to be this great story. And then I ended up loving the people that I met while I was there. So
beautiful. It's beautiful when you meet someone that changes your life, like what you said, like meeting like an angel on earth, or somebody that's that committed to something that reminds you of a Mother Teresa or somebody like that. Mm-hmm. Real quickly, before we go on to the next person, is we got about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Rome.
I'm not good at doing quick here, as you might notice.
Quick hitters, babe. Let's go, Dan.
I'm really good at the quick part.
We want you to do like Paul Westhead's offense. Wants you to come down and shoot the ball.
Yeah.
Do like Hank Gathers and those guys. This is more
the four corners that you're getting.
Pass the ball.
I'm trying to think of what's that cat's name that shot the free throw left-handed. Bo Kimball.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, Dan. Rome. Have you been to Basilica San Pietro?
No. The only No, but it's kind of the dream is if it's successful and I can get somebody to put the bill for it, I would love to do 52 abroad.
Stu.
Follow up.
Well, what if you could just do that? Just go to Rome as a Catholic person.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
just
I
that would
could do
be
that too. But if this were to be successful, that's what I would love to do is do it around the world.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
I think that would be your next step, really. That was one of my questions for you. What's your next venture? But I think that would be,
that's
definitely.
Yeah, I don't know if it's possible, but that's kind of the in the back of my mind if it were successful.
I just think it's really cool that you did 52 states. Like I've been to a lot of states, but it's great. Just not necessarily the parish that you were just like the for whatever many days you were there. I just think that's really cool because it's so different. And each state is so different.
Yeah,
people are different.
Just a reminder: if you go out west, never let your tank get lower than a half.
Did you just find that out?
Gas stations. You just can't get used to how far it is between gas stations out west. That's one of the first things you learn when you're on a trip like this. Like, oh crap!
All right,
that next town.
And don't drive fast. All right, so quick hitters. Diane, did you have another one, or do you want to pass it to? Stuart?
No, I'll maybe at the end if you have something, I'll throw something else. But no, go ahead.
Stuart.
So Dan, one thing I remember from when I was doing some homework on you and your travels to this book is the town you went to where they had signposts for everybody's name who lived in the town.
Yeah, in Idaho.
Tell me about that town because that's
Idaho. Yeah, because I went the first time I went to it said population 135, and then the church seated like 250, and it was filled. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, that math doesn't really work. So then I went to Green Creek, Idaho, and they don't tell you, they don't see a population, the number. They just listed everybody and how far it was to their house.
Yeah, so that's amazing. I thought that was so crazy.
Oh my
God. Yeah, that was not something that you see very. It was like an apartment complex, except it was the whole town.
Yeah, that was
definitely not New York.
I noticed. I
love the place. I mean, it was this rural Idaho community, and I love the people there. I had, a really neat time, and without any expectations.
Because I think when you see something like that,
Idaho.
It just sounds like a community, right? You see something like that, they obviously care.
Yeah,
it was nice. It was sweet to see, honestly.
Yeah, it really was cool. Yeah.
I might be the next to join that community. I want I need a cabin. I need forests I can hike in every day. And maybe they'll make a signpost with my name on it.
They can put it on the bottom.
Probably not, Stu. I'm just kidding. Anyway,
easy on that new hip.
Yeah. KQ, take it away, girlfriend.
All right, so all right, I know we're supposed to do rapid fire kind of like. Did you plan any of your travel around that area's weather?
Well, yeah, Alaska. I had no desire to go there during the winter because, well, I don't even know if it would have been possible. I went out when I went to Alaska. I went out to the far southwest corner, and I flew with the priest. He's a pilot, so we went to fly into the village where he serves. Which I was terrified about because I'd never been on a small plane before. But when he invited me, I was like, I can't pass that up. The idea, yes, from the beginning, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't that I avoided bad weather as much as possible. Though I did, I didn't avoid it completely. When I was driving from New Mexico to Colorado, I had to turn around because the interstate was just impassable between. West of Albuquerque. So I turned around and drove to El Paso instead.
Good move.
Like not Texas in August and things like that.
Yeah.
Yes, KQ, 110 degrees.
Yeah.
And I guess Dan, you had to feel like, a little safe, even though you were like worried about flying on the small plane, but the priest was flying the plane. So you were in good hands.
Yeah, that was I had the headset on and I'm talking, I'm like, yeah, like, sorry, Father, I'm actually talking to our Father. Not
How long was that flight?
But no, it was neat though. I mean, I actually, after after the first flight, it was pretty cool. I even like the fact that it kind of bounced around a little bit. It kind of felt more natural and much less unsettling than on a commercial airline when you experience turbulence. I felt it much. It just felt like, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. You're on a little plane like that. So
now I want to take Danny flying so I can watch him grab the armrest roll. No, I'm just kidding. T-Bill.
Dan, did your wife or your children get to go on any of the trips with you? At any point, was it like a family affair at all? Or
so my oldest went with me. We met in Salt Lake City because I was taking his car. He had moved. He lives in San Francisco, and he had relocated from Oakland to San Francisco and no longer had a place to park. And I needed a car, so because I had sold my old one. So we met there, and then went to Mass, and then I drove home, and he flew home. And then I also met him in Portland. My daughter lives in Vermont, so I did an Eastern swing, and I stayed with her for the week. And then as an entire family, we went to New Orleans for Christmas, and we went to the Jazz Mass on Christmas Day, which was really cool in the French Quarter. And then after I flew to Alaska, I flew to Hawaii, and I met them there. So my mother, my wife and son, and my father-in-law met me out there on Tuesday, and then my daughter and son, who worked, came out on Thursday, and then we came home on the 4th of July. So we had.
That's great. So you had a little family input on some of the trips.
It's kind of hard to if I just fly to Hawaii, go to Mass.
Yeah, and they made that tough sacrifice to meet you in Hawaii. Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was really neat.
I wanted to cue up that song.
Yeah, twist my arm.
Yeah, so we had a really good time both places. So it was
great.
That worked out really well.
I wanted to cue up "It's a Family Affair." I don't know who sings that song. It's sort of a '70s groove, but YouTube gets very angry, as do these podcast purveyors, if you use any copyrighted music.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I swear.
Yeah.
I got messages last week about the Rolling Stones on an episode a 3 years ago, and and another episode. I don't remember what it was. I'm like, dude, okay, fine. You can.
Everybody wants their 10 cents, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even that. It's that we're playing the music, which is popularizing the music. We want people to hear songs that we grew up with, and Spotify messaged me that they wanted to take them off episodes when I was doing MMA, which was a couple of years ago now. So anyway, Dan,
we could always just sing them a cappella.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Stu, start it up.
If only I had a singing voice, and particularly not tonight.
Well, here's something that you can all relate to. I'm probably the only person who can sing the words to the alma mater.
Oh wait, I know a lot of those.
No.
Listen. I'm going to tell you because Dave and I talked about this, and we talked about putting the alma mater on this book. I have my mother's like handwritten stuff.
My mother taught me it. I would sing.
All right, you ready? I can chime in.
Like,
you ready?
Let's hear it.
That's the word. Same key.
I can chime in here and there, I think. Go ahead. I'm a terrible singer, though. But for Hendercuts and sailed under the
over the unknown sea,
through the roaring tempest, through the raging rapids, over the sailhead. Now that it's gone forever, his name will never die. For we are loyal, steadfast and loyal to our Hendercuts and high. Hey,
I didn't know anyone else knew that besides me.
Well, listen.
I only remember the end.
Back in the day, after every touchdown, they would play that.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why we never heard it.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
Stuart, the most valuable player. Yes.
So now my brother's coaching at the high school, and I went to a game last year, or the year before, and there's not even a band there. It's like, what the heck? Where'd everybody go?
I don't even know if they know that either, because I tried to find the words, and I was asking my brother.
No, I did too, and you can't. Yeah.
I was trying to Google it, and it's hard to get. The older cheerleaders, like our generation, probably know it because they used to sing it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, my brother was involved with the band. I bet you if Mr. Lowry was still alive, I don't know if he is or not. He, that would be the person to contact because they
Also,
yeah.
probably Todd would be worth getting on the show. I'm sure he's doing something incredible.
I heard he's in Japan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I heard he's in
But I mean,
Japan.
you know, surely he's doing something musical.
Right, I'm
I mean,
sure.
he was
sure.
All American when we were, you know.
Right, he was
when
in
we
the
were-
Ronald McDonald marching band.
Yeah,
he was amazing.
Really good. So
All
that's
right, Dave, we got our work cut out for us.
that's yet
Yeah.
to come. Get Todd on here.
Another
speaking
thing,
of, speaking
that
of
was
classmates, I don't know. I sent this to Dave. I don't know if he saw my text or whatever. I don't know, but this is like a picture. Oh God, see.
Oh, from
This is
that
great.
was when I was out in Jersey and Pennsylvania. I was in Pennsylvania the
That's a
next
great
day.
picture.
Yeah,
What
it's
is
like Chuck Durr, it's
Jimmy
Kevin
Bolello?
Keon, Danny,
Yes.
and Jimmy Bolello.
That's a great
Yeah.
picture.
So
Yeah, we got there on Saturday. Yeah, because
I
the
was
church I went to in New Jersey was like 5 minutes from Jim's house.
yeah. Jim and I have connected a couple times too.
Well, we're still in
his
the-
son came down.
Yeah, well, oh no, you're not in the fantasy league anymore, right? Are you?
No, I should get back into it. I really sucked, and Merle won every freaking time.
Oh, Kelly
I think-
won every time.
I think she confessed to me at one of these reunions that her son picks it because I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, "How do you fucking win every time?"
Yeah.
Anyway, are you doing it?
Yeah. So
Okay.
if anybody wants
I should
in,
get
let me
back
know,
into it.
'cause I'm running it for it's me, Jim, Scoop, Chuck, my son, Carlton's son, Carlton,
Yeah.
Marcy, Merle, and Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Oh, Kelly, that's right.
Yeah,
Kelly
Kelly.
Mahoney, she won
Yeah,
twice
she's
too.
a lot. Yeah, she's
Jeez.
so.
Yeah.
We have not seen Scoop at any of the get-togethers for 5 years. We have not seen Jim. We have not seen Carlton. We have not seen Dan, also known
Well,
as
it's
Mitch.
called-
I think they've been at the reunions. They've been. I think Jimmy was. and Kevin was.
None of yours.
I'm talking about the get-together. It's not yours. It's not yours. It's ours.
Yeah.
And for 5 years we've been doing them. So
Yours.
Well, until I
yours.
go to one, it's still yours.
it's not mine. No.
Well, Carlton and I have a better excuse, so we would live along. You know, Jim and Kevin don't. They
Mhm.
Kevin lives locally, doesn't he?
yeah, he lives in Pleasantville, and Jim lives in Jersey.
Yeah, I don't know why we have not seen
I
Kevin.
saw
So
Scoop in April, I think.
Yeah.
you did where?
Just before Easter, at his house.
Oh, okay. Well, geez.
I know I should
Yeah.
elaborate on that, but I'm
It
not.
wasn't really a coincidence that he was there.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah,
ran into him.
hopefully I can get him to come because there's a lot of you guys that we haven't seen. There's so many more people to get to come. But Dan, you know, I'm glad we had the whole hour with you. We were going to have Joe Ryan, but we wouldn't have been able to get through anywhere near the story. It's an incredible journey. And even though, like me personally, I'm the kid of a Catholic father and a Jewish mother, and we were kind of sort of raised Jewish, but not really. So I'm not a person who's religious in nature, but I do admire people who are, and I'm interested to hear the stories of people who are and their journey, which is why I was interested to do this, even though I don't attend any services anywhere. So I really appreciate that you did this and inspired, and you are bound to inspire more people when they hear the account of what you did to bring to light what it's like to go to Mass in all these different places and be welcomed by fellow Catholics and people that are grounded and dedicated to faith.
Well, I just hope, that people are as inspired by their stories as I've been. I mean, that's really what I hope, because I was, it's not really about me. It's about the people that I'm writing about, and they're just incredible people. And I hope that people can, I hope I do an adequate job of conveying that in the book, that, just the level of respect and admiration I have for the people that I was blessed to meet.
And when is the anticipated release date?
I don't know. I'm hoping. I'd love it to be by the end of the year, but I really don't know. I mean, I've sent it to the publisher, but I don't know what the timetable typically is. I did convey to them that I hope that we can get a quick turnaround, because I've been out talking about it for a year. I've been in Catholic publications. I've been I've done radio interviews. I've probably there's probably 10,000 people who've heard about it at mass, so, the longer we go before it comes out, the more, the less momentum the book could conceivably have. So I do hope that, that we can turn it around pretty quickly, but I really don't, I don't have, I've written other books, but none that have been published. So I don't have a real good sense of what the time frame is.
Mm-hmm.
We're very proud of you, Dan.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah.
Well,
Excellent.
thank you. Appreciate it. Enjoyed joining you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was great to see you. You still look the same.
He does, doesn't he?
I feel as if we should throw some rapid fire St. Christopher's things out,
Oh
yeah,
my God.
if you got
yeah.
some KQ.
All right,
Yeah.
Dan, ready? Dan, name 2 priests from St. Christopher's.
Oh, I
The Father Mazzi,
Yep.
yeah.
and then we had a Monsignor.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was his
You
name?
remember his name?
No, I
I
don't.
do.
Father
Well,
Gallagher?
We did have a-
Yes,
Yeah, we had a-
Gallagher.
But
Yeah.
do you remember when we back like in elementary school before
Yes.
Monsignor Gallagher? Do you remember Father Russell?
Father Russell. He
Father
told me I didn't have to go to
Russell.
communion.
Yeah.
Not
Oh.
communion, confession. He told me I didn't have to go. I was scared to death to go in there. He's
Oh
like,
man, I got yelled at in confession because I didn't have.
Yeah, I did too.
I was like,
Father Russell.
well, you were supposed to be thinking about it while you were out there. I was like, well, I don't do that.
I know. I always had my plan
Yeah, it
when I
wasn't
went into
very-
confession, like I got in there and then I start, bless me, Father, Father.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been like 6 months since
I
I've
was
been
scared to death.
And then you could hear him, like he said the first thing and he kind of went up in his chair and he was kind of like, and you're like, oh no, I'm doomed,
It was
And then you're out there saying like 10 Hail Marys and Our Fathers.
But even before that, it's like, and God forbid you didn't get your act of contrition right. Now
Oh
in
my God.
our church, they have it posted right in the confessional. It's like,
Yeah.
what is that?
It's a cheat sheet.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I was second in line for communion, and I was second in line for when we made confirmation because I was always short. But here's when I was in like 6th grade, I got sent to like remedial CCD, like the class of the slow kids. And you'll never believe who was with me, but Jesse
Oh my God.
got
Ryan
sent.
was probably there too.
I mean,
who was the teacher?
the most dedicated kid we know academically. He and I get sent to the slow class. I don't know exactly what
I
it
don't
was,
remember that one.
but
You weren't up on your prayers.
You were up on your
and then one thing that was
Out of those prayers.
one of the things I most remember about CCD is I was getting in trouble in one of the classes. We had a nun, and she made me sit right in front of her desk. And the thing that I discovered was I was looking straight up at her, and I realized, like, wow, she has perfectly symmetrical nostrils.
Hey,
I realized the one who didn't. Everybody else has symmetrical nostrils. Mine were always lopsided. I didn't realize that until I was looking straight up.
Hey Dan, I got something from Trisha Cole in the chat. It says for you to react to Mrs. Albanese and Mrs. McGuigan.
Mrs.
Yes.
McGuigan, yeah.
Wigan.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Okay, so I guess they were part of St. Christopher's. Where
Yeah,
was this
yeah.
church? Was this right next to the high school?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Where I mean,
Where
Married
it seemed like everybody was Catholic on those mornings where we missed first period to go to mass.
Everybody was.
Everybody was Catholic.
I
Were you Catholic on that day?
we would get dismissed from school
Yes.
at G, and they would take us over to St. Christopher's during the school day
Yep.
for CCD, and there'd be like 2 kids like left behind, like Schechter and Gilbert.
Right,
And they
right.
were like, and their parents never complained that they had to just sit in a study hall while the Catholic kids went to CCD class.
I remember Cam Fontana went,
Public
Anthony
school.
Anthony
Yeah, we were all
Feltry,
there.
Orselina. I remember
Yeah.
there was a bunch of kids from Furnace Woods that went.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
one
I
kid
obviously was
yeah.
not among them.
Yeah.
Huh?
was
Not as
being-
many, yeah. The percentage wasn't as high in Furnace Woods as it was at Frank G.
And forget it at Hen Hud, the fact that you could walk there, maybe some kids maybe stopped at Dayros on the way,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
or just went a little further to go to Dayros. Sorry, I lost my.
Right. Yeah,
I love that
exactly.
Day
My
Rose
lineup.
is still there too. It's amazing. I haven't been in. I need to walk in because I haven't walked
What?
in there since like
I
high
think it's
school.
all different now, though. I don't know.
I grew up the street. That's where I lived.
In
Right.
So,
Buchanan-
yeah, I lived right up Rockledge from Day Rose.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where we used to play the flag football in the
That's where we played
backyard.
football,
We
yeah.
used to play like Smear the Queer too. Remember that? And like
Absolutely.
we played that at Frank G. I was like the only
Oh,
girl
yeah,
that played
we
with
used to
all the
always-
boys.
Oh, we used to, and what Al Kress would just get abused in that game. And then we'd always get sent to Mr. O'Hare's office.
Yes.
You
Yes.
guys ran him out of the school. That's why he ended up going to Kennedy's because you guys.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. Yeah. We used to have a good old time though. I always played with all the boys. I mean,
You
that
did.
was the,
Yes,
I was
you
I
did.
was a jock, you know.
Yes.
So I was
I was
Much
playing
so.
when you were
That's
doing
like-
that. It's like we were playing Little House on the Prairie on that stagecoach.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
You and Cynthia
directed by
Wade.
Cynthia.
Cynthia Wade, yes, always. Little House on the Prairie. Totally. I remember that like it was
Absolutely.
yesterday.
Can you tell us? Can KQ and Diane tell us their jersey numbers now so that we
No.
can just relieve ourselves of the suspense?
No, you got to earn it, baby. You got to.
Well, how am I going to earn it? What do you want me to do?
You got to go look at your yearbook now.
I don't have a yearbook. That's the problem.
Ah,
Otherwise, I would.
I will
That's
find
fine.
out for you, Dave. I will find out for you.
Okay.
I think
thank
I
you,
was
Stu.
senior year. I think I was 34, but then I went into goal, so I had nothing.
Oh, so
I
you
mean-
were goal in soccer or field
Yeah.
hockey?
Soccer.
Okay. And Diane was
That's how
soccer
desperate they were.
and softball.
and field hockey and
Yeah,
softball.
field
right?
hockey and softball. Yep.
Field
6
hockey.
and 10. 6 and 10.
Okay, there we
My
go.
lucky numbers.
I can say this without question. Maybe Stu has an argument, but Diane was a much bigger stud than Mel or I were.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I mean, she was well known as a great athlete.
As a
so.
stud?
Athletically, yes, you were.
Oh, okay.
Yes, athletically.
Well, I
What?
still love my sports. I have the Giants exhibition on right now. I keep glancing over at that. And I'm all about those Mets. And if you remember,
You always
Danny,
were all about this.
remember in elementary school, I had my helmet
You-
on. I used to have my surveys. Who do you like better, the Mets or the Yankees? I'm still a diehard Mets
You,
fan.
Bruce, and Timmy Donahue, I think, were the big Mets fans.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I would love to see is I would love to see if we had tapes of these games. So like
Oh,
the 85 basketball team, the
There was
85
one-
football team, the 85 soccer team. I
Yeah,
would
that
love
would
to
be
see-
great.
Stuart,
I
did
don't
you
think
see
so,
it?
though.
Somebody linked to one on Facebook of an old soccer game.
Really? Who
Yeah,
won? I'm
yeah.
not on Facebook, so who put it on?
I forget. It was a couple years ago. I think
Yeah.
it was.
Like a parents' video or something like that?
Yeah, there was like a snippet of it, like maybe 10 minutes of one of your games.
Oh,
I'd
cool.
love to see
Like Nate was going nuts.
well, that's every game.
No, don't
Uh,
stop. You joke.
playing back to the keeper where he could play with his hands. It was like really weird to see. I think maybe
We got to see that. You got to find that,
I
Dan.
don't know if you were. I just remember somebody linked to it on it a few years ago. It's pretty
Oh,
funny
cool.
to watch.
Wow.
You got to find that. And T-Bell, do you think these tapes still exist in the school, or do you think they're gone?
I don't even know that we taped most of our games, did we?
no,
Football did.
Well, I started coaching in high school in 89, 90, and we weren't even taping games then. Like
Yeah.
coaches, wouldn't- I mean,
I mean, the
that
basketball
the
game.
old videotape with the big camera, like that
Yeah.
really didn't start until like
Yeah,
90.
because you needed big equipment at that time.
Yeah, and you had nobody to do it. I would love to see. My father used to film my brother's football games with old cameras,
Mhm.
but back then it just wasn't done.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
so they
now
don't exist.
you see every game you want to. My son plays
Yep.
soccer at college, and every one of his games is on
Live
streaming. So it's
Live
very
stream.
It's so great. My daughter played too, and you never have to miss a game, no matter how far away they are. It's really
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And I mean,
When
it was
I-
Division III.
Yeah.
When I tried out at football at college, the coach asked me, "Do you have tapes?" And I said no. So I assumed that meant that my school would have tapes.
It was a little bit more prevalent in football than anywhere else.
Okay, football. Okay.
When my son played high school, he played at Arlington, and you sign up for something at the beginning of the season where you're taped the entire season, and then you send this. You don't send resumes to college coaches anymore. You send your video package.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's amazing stuff. It really is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of times we don't watch it. We got stuff every day, and it was just like delete. But it's so hard to keep up with it.
Yeah.
Poor kid at some hope.
We would literally get
Shattered parents.
hundreds of
dreams
tapes
now,
every day.
T-Bell.
Huh?
I said you just shattered every parent's dream.
Parents have no clue.
You did, man. That
No clue.
That's great. All right, do you guys have anything else before we go? Any?
So my
goodbyes?
only thing to say to Dan is about. I know you talked about the 52 Masters in Europe. You should contact something like PBS and make it like a documentary.
I thought I was hoping that we might be able to do a companion television program about it. Yeah, and I actually spoke to a guy who's done TV, and he thought it was a good idea, but it never went anywhere. And my publisher didn't really have any, I didn't have any contacts in that particular world. But I do think that yes, that it would really work well doing some kind of a companion television program, documentary type of thing. It would work really well.
Plus, I think once the book comes out, it'll be a lot easier to push.
Yeah. There may be opportunities that way for sure. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That'd be awesome.
Well, I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
good
yeah.
luck.
After the book comes out, that might be the thing. After it comes out and it sells and the community gets interested, there may be a Catholic person who's involved in this sort of thing that would say, yeah, I'd like to see this. I'd like to see this guy do it in Greece and in Italy and these other countries, in Iraq. Just kidding. We don't want to send you there. But maybe we will. But not to Karachi, Pakistan. Anyway, it's been awesome, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
for
it's been
your time,
great.
man.
Let's all stay in touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let us know how the book comes out, and we'll promote it.
Like I was telling Dave, that I don't know, but there's the possibility that I'll do some traveling after the book comes out. So if that situation arises, I'll try to time it so it's with one of the reunions that go on. So I can because I didn't get out actually that way since I went to Buffalo very often. So, but I would like to to do it, and if the situation presents itself, I'd like to time it to get together.
That's great.
So we'll all do the 11:30 at St. Christopher's.
That's-
And
I'll do the 11:30.
We'll all be hungover at 11:30.
We'll be
on
hungover at
St. Christopher's.
11:30. Yeah.
There you go. And that wouldn't have been the first one that we did it.
Would not be
either.
the first time we were hungover.
It really warms my heart that you guys did that and that you guys connected through church and all that. I'm also, by the way, I've been to Rome a couple of times, and I go to see all of these. I go to see Basilica San Pietro. I went to several different chapels. I can't even remember now the different chapels that I went to around Rome, and I'm awed by it. And I'm not Catholic, but it's just
no. There really are. In particular, Catholic churches, in particular, have been historically designed, with beauty in mind, and particularly
and awe,
much
to
more
inspire awe, and it works.
Much more so than some others,
Yeah. So,
can I ask?
So thank you very much.
Questions?
Yes, ma'am.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, ma'am, go ahead.
Real quick. I know, Dave. I know you want to end the show. I'm sorry, but
No, go ahead,
Dan,
ma'am.
do you know how many miles did you put on your car for all this traveling?
Yes.
You have to know the answer.
I would guess about 30,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Okay.
that's what I would guess. Yeah.
That's all right. You just write that right off.
Yeah. Right.
When I wasn't traveling, I don't do anything. I don't go anywhere. So like my weeks were like 2 weeks of driving thousands of miles and 2 weeks of never leaving my house.
A lot of driving.
I love it.
Yeah.
Another great question by KQ. She is able to always rest one more question. It's so awesome to have these co-hosts that I have. Even though T Bell looks like he's on, I don't know, some sort of a Dateline episode. I love it, man. I love it. The king of South Carolina's king of pickleball, by the way.
Yeah,
Get good.
Which I heard about on a podcast, and obviously I thought about T-Bell the whole as they're explaining about the pickleball craze, and then I saw someone with a pickleball team jersey in Charlotte in the airport the other day, which also made me think of T-Bell. So
Hey, Mitch, it took me to my 50s to find something I was good at.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Oh, stop
please.
that.
You guys are
No.
ridiculous. You guys are all excellent athletes. I didn't even know how to spell athlete until after I got out of high school.
Oh
So-
God.
Hey, if we had gone to Franciscan like our friend Mel, we would have
He
been
was like rolling his
I
eyes.
know, Mitch. That was our
It's
shot.
true, Stu. Come on.
Good
I
close,
didn't play a sport
I
until varsity
am
wrestling.
now assured this is nothing but a ruse that you're talking about your problems in high school.
It's
Nothing
serious.
but a ruse.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Stu doesn't believe any of it. I love all you
Nope.
guys.
Over
Go ahead,
now,
Diane.
guys. It's
There you go,
great.
guys. Mitch, take care, buddy.
Yeah, take care.
care.
Dan,
All right.
great to see you, man.
See you, Stu.
Take
All
care.
right.
Yeah, for our guest,
fun.
the gentleman who wrote 52 Masses, and there you can see it. There is Dan's website right there. If you'd like to go and check out what he's got going on, he will let us know as soon as this book does hit the shelves and is published, and then hopefully he'll get to take this show on the road to Europe and inspire Catholics around the world like he has around the country. So thank you, Dan. On behalf of Dan, Diane, Stu, Karen, and T-Bell, this is Dave San Marco saying peace out, one love. We'll see you down the road. And you know what? We're always wondering what's up around the bend.